There's that fresh beat you only hear on Comic Book Canon! That's right, the Sunday before Thanksgiving, the Sunday before it gets crazy with all of the holidays, the Sunday where we have Comic Book Canon as we do every Sunday. However, reminder, we will not be Sundays starting in 2023. It will be on Mondays. The show will be on Mondays. To tell you more about that, though, I'd like to bring in my good friend, partner in crime, and co-host of the show, Christopher. Was I right? Was I right? Was I right?
All right. So, first off, I rushed all the way here from the mountains to make sure I made it for the show today. Happy to be here. But everyone in the audience, Jeff, you know, this is for the audience, all right? So,
yeah.
I want somebody from the audience can figure out what's different about me today, then I don't know what your prize is, but I'll call you the coolest person in the world for the next 30 days. How about that?
Honestly, good luck anybody who, you know what, I'm going to think of a prize to give to somebody because there's no way they're going to get it. There's no way they're going to get it. But I'll think of a prize for sure. I know of a prize. I'm going to give away this. It's I have two of these. Star Wars: The Edge of Balance #1. I'll give that away. I have two of these. So if anybody can just say what's different about Chris, and it has to be before the end of the show, you'll get one of those spiffy Edge of Balance, Star Wars Edge of Balance comic books. We're getting some people here actually guessing.
Sean says facial hair is nice. Actually, I haven't shaved in like 5 days, but
and you have you cut your hair?
Nope. Same hair.
A lot of cut your hairs. All right, again, if you guys can tell us what's different about Chris today, you'll win that Star Wars book right there. Chris, we're just gonna get it. Everybody's saying you got a haircut. It is not haircut, everybody. It is definitely not haircut. Expecting a new baby. Is that what's different?
Oh my goodness! Wow,
that's fantastic, Keith.
I just freaked out hearing that.
Oh my God, this is fun. Look at all these crazy. You got teeth whitening. You guys are crushing it. Keep it going. Keep it going.
That bad before?
No, I mean your teeth look fantastic. It's not. Oh gosh, this is insane. All right, we're not giving any clues. We're just gonna get right into the news.
And guys, it has to be specific. So we'll just say that. Okay, moving on. We have a show to do.
I don't know how to tell people it's not that it's a Pepsi hat. It's not that it's not a sports team. He did not you may have manscaped, but you guys can't tell from here that you can't do that. So we'll keep on top of this as well.
How dare you say I'm not color coordinated? Red, white, and blue, baby. Here.
Yeah. I don't know. Good stuff right here. All right, we're just gonna get into the news here. And again, we're starting off with not so great news. Where is the news? There it is. We're starting off with not so great news. Jason David Frank has passed away. I guess we got word of that today at the age of 49, as you know. One of the original Power Rangers. A lot of obviously he made a huge impact on a lot of people's childhoods. Always cordial, always very nice, friendly to any of his fans whenever he's at conventions. So this is absolutely sad news to hear about. I do believe he was shooting a film that was backed by Kickstarter. I'm not sure if it had anything to do with the Power Rangers, but the dude was a talent. The dude made an impact on everybody, and it's really, really sad to hear. Chris, I don't know if you want to follow up on that.
Yeah, man. I mean, and then I know we don't have all the details surrounding what happened, but it seems as if, this was a situation, suicide, which is always just, it blows your mind when we look at these people that, we think we know, but we don't know them personally, that are in the limelight, that, and this is an individual that put himself out there. He was always at cons, always, making himself available for the people all through the years. And it just goes to show that you never know. And I think a couple things to take away from this for the people watching, for this community that we interact in, it goes back to what I always say. Well, one, it goes back to the fact that celebrities are still human beings, right? But it goes back to the fact that we're all human beings. And this is why when it comes to these communities that we interact in, especially on social media, this is why I'm very, very vocal about how we treat each other, because you never know what somebody is going through. And it's just sad, I was kind of a little before Power Rangers. Wasn't really my thing, but my son really liked Power Rangers. And like I said, man, this is somebody that really was a figure to a lot of people. But more importantly, it's really sad when you have somebody that is always making themselves available for other people, yet we don't know the demons that they're dealing with inside. And it's always really, really horrible to hear.
Yeah. Again, it's kind of invisible, and it's really hard to see when people need that health. Keith, you say it well. Mental health is paramount. So again, rest in peace, Jason David Frank. 49 years old, gone way too soon. So again, Kevin Conroy last week, Jason David Frank this week. It's hard to pivot, but we do. We'll get into the next piece of news, which is about the DCU. That's right, DC Comics universe. The roadmap to the DC Comics universe is soon to be revealed, according to David Zaslav, the WB Discovery CEO. He announced at a conference that James Gunn and Peter Safran are close to completing a roadmap for the future of the DC universe. As he says, so part of our strategy is to drive the hell out of DC, which James and Peter are going to do. I think they've thrilled fans. I think they're going to thrill you over a period of time. Yeah, we talked about this, Chris, last week. I think it was last week. James Gunn has a track record in both universes now. I think he's a fan. He loves these characters. He knows these characters way better than a person like Walter Hamada ever did. And I think just like we trust in Feige, I think we're going to have that same trust in James Gunn. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, just like I said last week, we could chuckle at it 9 years later, but better late than never. And I bring up two examples. The one example is what DC's been doing for 9 years, completely dysfunctional, right?
Yeah.
Another thing, another one that went into something massive without a game plan, the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. And it's not blame on one person, but Kathleen Kennedy heading that is the head of Lucasfilms. I mean, she should have. It's just a mess. Whether you like those films or not, she came out and stated that they went into that without a plan. And Rian Johnson came out and stated that they came to him saying, "Do whatever you want," and he like egotistically laughed about not even watching The Force Awakens, the movie that came before the one he was doing. So you don't do that. You strip yourself of ego. You strip yourself of being this shell, this impenetrable shell that can't take criticism. And you listen to fans, you listen to other individuals in the industry, especially dealing with properties that have been here before you, like with Star Wars. You listen to George Lucas, you listen to JJ. With DC, you listen to Jim Lee, you listen to the comic book writers and everyone that's had their hand in this for decades. And I think that's what they're finally getting with these individuals. And again, I'm all for it. Better late than never. Let's see what they do.
Yeah, again, have full faith that they are going to come with a plan. James Gunn cuts deep with these characters as well. Coming up with a successful show like Peacemaker. I mean, come on. Like, he was like a C-list at best character back in the 80s. So I have full faith. Chris, we have an update on what is different about you. Sean Miller, the brim of your hat has a curve to it for once. I usually see you wearing a hat with an abnormally flat brim. Congratulations, Sean Miller. You will win this year's this here, Star Wars, The High Republic, The Edge of Balance book. Please send us your address on Instagram. Hopefully you have the Instagram, the IG, as we like to say, and we will send you that book right there. Well done. Congratulations.
Jeff, I knew it. See,
I didn't think anybody would get that.
Well, you know, we had our special guest Jono's Comics, not Journo's, Jono's Comics on the other day.
Yeah.
And he tried to deceive you all to make you believe that he was me. And what did he do outside of wearing 49ers gear? But what was something else that was very specific? Did you notice, Jeff?
The hat.
The hat. Flat brim hat.
Yeah, no, but it's hard to. That's like this is right here. Is a classic curved brimmed hat. Yours, I don't know. By the way, Into Oblivion, great guess. Chris saved a bunch of money by switching to Geico. No, I don't think. Actually, I don't think. But and Sean Miller can't believe that he got it right. By the way, that's accurate, Sean. You're going to get that book. Please send us your address on Instagram. We will send you that book. We promise. So, anyways, moving on. So positive news in DCUville. Maybe this is kind of like, what the heck? Let's get some news. Setbacks in signing Superman. I mean, come on. The Wrap reports, according to numerous insiders with knowledge of the situation, that a search for a writer was currently underway for a Superman sequel. The fact is, there's no writer or director attached to the project, and there's currently no formal deal with Cavill to return. This is quite the quagmire, Chris. I like that word, quagmire, because Cavill already came out saying, I am back. Now what? Now what, Chris? Quagmire.
Giggity.
Quagmire.
I'm moving on from this.
Okay.
This doesn't faze me at all. Look, what did we just talk about? Plans. Let them have a freaking plan. I'm not concerned with this at all. Maybe it's just them not. Obviously, we don't know, but maybe it's just them not rushing into it. I'm not speculating or being a pessimist on this at all.
Okay. The fact that Cavill said he's coming back kind of puts him in the advantage, if you know what I mean, because he's a known commodity. Mm-hmm. He's a loved commodity. DC better fucking get that shit straightened out. Otherwise, they've already got a lot of vitriol against them for things that they have done in the past. Get it right with this new leadership. Bring Cavill on for real, legitimately, so we can all move on past this. So, I'm not too worried about it, but it's interesting that the Wrap's reporting that kind of stuff, and it's just, guys, DC, or Warner Brothers, you're past that by signing people like Gunn and Safran. You're past that. We do expect better from you, starting now. So get this shit taken care of and move on. Finally, Chris, you have the last story of the day. What is it?
Yeah. So some Marvel news. Can't have a show without Marvel news. It seems that way, but this is more from the Sony end with some more Silk news. We got the Silk series with the title Silk Spider Society. It is found as showrunner and Walking Dead alum Angela Kang. In addition, Phil Lord and Chris Miller will executive produce with Spider-Man franchise producer Amy Pascal, obviously. President of Sony Picture Television Studios, Catherine Pope, made this statement, quote, "We can't wait to bring the adventures of Cindy Moon to life. Thanks to the creative dream team of Chris and Phil, Angela and Amy, along with our partners at Marvel and Amazon. We know this exciting series with new and never before seen characters and storylines will wow audiences watching first on a linear MGM Plus and then around the world on Prime Video." So all the details are being fleshed out, and I personally like what they're doing, taking some of their properties to streaming services, Sony that is, because oftentimes we are very much critics of what Sony does with their Marvel properties, and maybe this is a way that Sony can actually maybe and these aren't necessarily my words, but in the minds of many fans, maybe get it right instead of putting all this money into some big budget film that doesn't necessarily pan out. I'm optimistic. I'm not going to sit here again and be a pessimist on anything that Sony does as well, but Sony has a lot to really get me on board still, and I am a little worried, especially of not seeing fully how these characters are going to cross over with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. But we've had a little bit more of that, more and more, obviously, for those that saw No Way Home. So I'm really hoping for that to happen. We'll see. I don't know what to think of this until I get a trailer and actually watch it.
Yeah, we got that trailer of Morbius that we were both excited about, and it didn't. I mean, you enjoyed Morbius. To be fair, I haven't seen it.
You still haven't seen it?
No.
Oh wow.
We got a pretty sweet trailer of Venom 2, and that just was garbage. It's a hot mess. So they don't have a good track record, in my opinion. Sony. Phil Lord, Chris Miller being involved, that's promising. I love hearing that. We'll see where this pans out, but I mean, Kraven the Hunter solo film, what they have, like some crazy, like obscure characters that they announced like a couple years ago. I don't know what they're doing, Sony, really. Like, I don't know if they have a plan either. They're trying to ride the coattails of the MCU and how they're using Spider-Man. I don't know how well that's going to work until they start integrating directly into the MCU and everybody starts sharing. That's the only way I could say. Or if Disney pays $4 billion for all back the 900 characters again, which I doubt that's going to be a thing, but who knows? So,
well, I do think, I mean, there's a way, like with Kraven, I mean, it can be an origin story, so to say, but that's a character you want to see go up against Spider-Man. Again, same with Venom, it's like, oh gosh.
Well, here's the thing. What's been said about Kraven is that he's an animal lover.
Yeah, that's really weird. And I'm all, I think you and I both agree, Jeff, that these movies and shows don't have to be straight from the comic book.
No.
But I don't know if that's getting just blown out of context, because maybe it's like, the animal spirit, how a lot of native peoples, they are, they will hunt the animal, but then they will. So maybe it's something like that where they, I don't know, but if he's like vegan and wears fox like furs,
that's like Morbius being scared of blood and he eats cottage cheese or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't know what to think. Yeah. I do like Silk. I like that character. I think it's awesome. How decades later they came up with like, oh, somebody else could have been bitten by the spider as well. But we shall see. We shall see. We shall see. That is the news for this week. Kind of minimal. I guess we're heading into a holiday weekend. Not much going on. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the next few weeks. I did see Black Panther, though, by the way. Chris, we didn't even talk about this pre-show. It was outstanding. It was absolutely outstanding. If you guys have not seen Black Panther yet, my God. I wasn't ready for the first 10, 15 minutes of it. I really wasn't, but I got goosebumps. It really was outstanding. So many levels, so many different things, really cohesive, really well done. That's what that's all I'm going to say about that. My gosh, if you haven't seen that movie, please go see it.
What's your rating?
9 out of 10.
Nice.
I barely give 10s too. I don't think I've ever given a 10, but unbelievable. All right. Also, there's a correction here. We owe an apology. Well, not really an apology, actually, but we do need to course correct here based off of Fresh from the Comic Shop last week. We made a mistake. Well, I guess I made the mistake because Chris was not on the show the week before. He was at Old Man Journal's birthday party. So we picked Nerds Being Geeks twice, 2 weeks in a row for the semifinals, and that can't happen. So we're gonna stick with Nerds Being Geeks from the Sunday, the November the 6th show. But we are gonna change it's not gonna be Nerds Being Geeks from last week's show, the 13th. It will be Bobzilla. That's right, with this Cosmic Spidey. Really nice, little well put together package. Verse Nerds Being Geeks. Nice. And that sweet, sweet silk screen right there. So we'll get those semifinals going this week. We're gonna pick a semifinalist for the following week. So don't get those confused. Just wanted to make that correction right there. But here we are moving on. Oh, before we get into the next segment, let's say hello to everybody. We got Bryant Wilson. What's happening? We got Dan De La Torre. Family is over for an early Thanksgiving. Are you eating turkey already? It's a few days early, but that's cool. We got Consensual Sent Slots. I think we know who that is. Caleb Leland, Cable Leland. We got Sean Miller. 0.5 out of 10 for Black Panther 2. We got Keith Kovalik. We got, who else? Norin Rad 82. We got T-Shoe. By the way, Sean, you're entitled to your opinion. Don't get me wrong. I just don't agree with it. Into Oblivion. We got Phil Ailing. We got, who else do we got? Tony Trombetta. He does bring up a good point. Henry Cavill would not make those statements without knowing what is going to happen. So I guess we should all just be patient. Who else do we have here? We got some Raw Dog Comics. We got L Green Machine. Who else? Shadow Rat. I haven't seen Shadow Rat for a while. Lee Neeran. EW. Got some good peeps in the house here. You're all good peeps. Fat Dad Comics. Creepy Cow Comics. Steve Bradley. Who else? Good people indeed. All right. Travis Tubbs. Yes. All right. Good crew. We're going to move on to the next segment, and it's a doozy. Y'all love it because y'all want everybody's opinion. You want our opinion. You want the audience opinion. That's why you submit for this segment called Props or Flops. Chris, tell us about it.
All right, folks, get your props or flops submissions into the Instagram. Upload any picture of any comic book. This could be a comic book that you recently purchased. It could be a comic book that you're looking to purchase. Use the hashtag props or flops. And please, folks, please tag Comic Book Canon and myself at Journos_comics, because 2 of the picks that I got this week were just hashtagged and they didn't show up in the hashtag. So make sure you tag us as well. Now, upload one of these books that you have just purchased or are looking to purchase and tell us why you purchased it or why you're looking to purchase it, what you paid for it, if you're wanting to give us that information, and your reasonings behind your purchase, and we will break down the market live here on the show, and we will give it props or flops. Now, keep in mind that these decisions are based on investment reasons. They could be books that you love, but if we see that there is no future value or you overpaid, et cetera, we could be very well giving that book a flops, because that's how we do it on the segment.
Absolutely. And we want to hear your opinion, the audience, even if you didn't submit a book. Tell us what you think about these books, because that's why people are submitting in the first place. There's an interesting comment. Oh, Bryant Wilson, we did cover DC. We had 2 news stories on DC. So you may have to do the rewind for the VOD. But we're glad you're here. All right. Christopher, what book do we have first?
All right, man. We got a spooky Resident Evil #1. This is the original series, the Marvel 1996 series.
Sorry. Just trying to find. There we go. Got it.
There we go. This is from Raising Elm, good friend of the channel, Raising Elm Comics. So there it is in the awesome CGC signature series yellow label. You see it there in a 9.4, but Raising Elm Comics states this. For this week's props or flop submission, I offer this Resident Evil issue #1, published by Marvel, graded by CGC at a 9.4. Signed by none other than Bill Sienkiewicz. And it also comes with the $5 promotional coupon, which you see down there, right kind of behind the props there, which CGC wouldn't slide with the book, of course. I believe this book is props all the way. Sure, some of the movies, TV shows may not live up to what the fans want. I still love the live action projects, but you can't deny that the tons of games are what have made this a popular franchise for over 25 years and counting. Absolutely. Not only are we getting a Resident Evil 8 Village expansion, but there is talks of a Resident Evil 9. We're also getting a Resident Evil 4 remake in 2023. This book, especially with the original promotional coupon, is props all day in my book. Change my mind, he says. Props or flops. Thank you, Raising Elm. All right, let's look at a few details right here. So first, you got the book. it's the first issue of an awesome video game franchise. And yeah, I've enjoyed some of the movies, but some not so much. Obviously fans are been wishy-washy about that recent TV show, but that's neither here or there. I agree with Raising Elm that Resident Evil is just a solid franchise and means a lot to a lot of people right now. This being the first book published, I think that definitely matters. And you got an amazing artist. Sinkovich is just, always kills it. I just actually sold a signed variant of his myself. But I think those things right there are really awesome factors for this book. But let's look at more because we're talking about investment purposes here. Let's look at the census. Now, I tell you all, don't get just caught up in census numbers because there's different ways to look at census numbers. But when we look at these, there's 23 9.8s, 33 9.6s, and 20 9.4s. So there's not that many, but I don't know the print run. That, you got to weigh those things together as well. But then I also talk about like, well, what's the demand for this book and people actually wanting to send it to CGC? A lot of books have low census counts basically because nobody cares about sending it to CGC, right? But you think people might with this one. 9.8 CGC signature series. There's only 2. There's only 5 9.6 signature series. And this is the only 9.4 signature series. Now, again, I'm not getting caught up in that. Oh, it's scarce. It's rare. No, I just don't know what people have really wanted to say. Oh, look, I have Resident Evil #1. I'm going to go get it signed and go send it to CGC. I personally don't think there's that much of demand there for people to do that. It's my opinion. But now let's look at what Raising Elm paid. Said he paid about $100 to $125 roughly for this book. $75 for the signature. So Raising Elm has about anywhere from $175 to $200 into this book. The only sale for a recent sale for CGC was $350 back in April of this year. And that was a 9.2 blue label, not signed. $350. Now, well, you might be looking at that and saying, oh, Chris, there you go. It's a lower grade. It's a blue label, no signature, and it's sold for $150 more than what he paid. That's a props all day. Well, what do I always say about looking at one sale? It doesn't mean really anything. There's so little to base off of one sale. So little to base. One could go up tomorrow in a 9.2 and sell for $100. You never know. But because of the artist and because of it being the first publication of this book in comic books and these characters in comic books, I am going to give this a props. I'm going to give this a props. If you look at what, Sinkovich's signature sells for, you can just depending on book. I mean, I sold my book. My book was, it was Detective Comics 1027. And it was like cover D, his variant, and he signed it. And it was a near mint copy. What I sell that book for, like close to $50. So, you look at least like $40 probably for his signature, like easily, in my humble opinion. And if you get it on one of his classic books, expect to pay a lot more. So, to send it off to CGC for a signature series for $75, that's not bad at all. And if you look at this book in a blue label and a 9.4 for about $100, I think that is a decent price. So while there's very little to gauge, there's very little for me to actually look at to really have a comparative analysis, I'm going to go with my gut and say that I think in 5 years from now, especially 10 years from now, I think that Raising Elm can definitely sell this book for over $200 and get a little money back in his pocket.
Okay. I'm going to come on. I'm a bit ignorant on this. It's very niche. It's not my cup of tea. So I'd have to give it a flops. I don't see, but again, I don't see the broader scope of the fans of this property. Right. So that's all I can go by. I have to give it a flops myself, but Raising Elm, we still love you.
Okay. So let's add just a little more context because he said, convince me. right? So asking you this question, is your main convincing the fact of it being the video game franchise and not having that pull?
I just think it's I think it's a smaller kind of
Yep.
audience in
Right.
a way, right?
Yep. Very
Nobody's
good
going
point.
out
Very
running
good
out to
point.
get the
And I think that's why we don't see.
Yeah, actually,
I'm sorry, go ahead. You were breaking up a little bit.
Keith said the same thing. Actually, I was gonna mention that. Sorry, Keith. Specific video games are niche part of pop culture. If you were not a fan of the game or didn't grow up with it, holds no value for the general. I mean, that's me right there. So that's why I have to give it a flops myself. So what you
And
said
I
it
would
way
like
better
to
than I did,
see
by the way.
if anybody knows the print run or rough estimate of the print run on this book, because I think if we have that and looked at the census numbers, if this is a huge print run and this is all that's on the census, it might speak more to that factor right there because of that low interest. If it's a low print run and you have the numbers that are there, well, then maybe you can argue and maybe give a little wiggle room to say, well, people, there is some type of demand there. So if anybody has that information, let us know.
Yep. All right. But while we wait for that information, we have another book to go over. What is that, Chris?
All right, Spidey fans, we got a Spider-Man book, and it's Spider-Man 24 from the 90s McFarlane run. Of course, this predates McFarlane. I do believe it was Larson on these issues. And this is a graded copy from Super Rad Comics. Let's see what Super Rad wrote. We got, wow, Spider-Man number 24 wasn't the very first comic I ever owned. It was my first superhero book. That's awesome. At the age of 6, I was totally hooked. And I still have my well-read copy.
Well, Chris froze there. He still has a
Single time I see it.
You were freezing up there, Chris.
Oh, shoot. Should I start over?
I'll do it. How about this? At the age of 6, I was totally hooked, and I still have my well-read copies safe in a short box. Now I buy this book every single time I see it because it's a cheap first full appearance of a rad character that should absolutely have a role in the next Spider-Verse movie. They're going to need more villains, and it would be a missed opportunity not to use Doppelganger. Most sites list Infinity War #1 as his first appearance as it released a month prior. But in that book, we only see him in 2 panels. For my money, this is the more attractive pickup. Raws usually run about $5, and I pull the trigger when I see it graded around $100. What do y'all think?
All right, Jeff, I hate to do this to you, but I apologize to you and the fans. Can I read through this one more time for editing purposes? For the
my bad. Go for it.
No, all good. And this will give time for the audience.
My bad.
Let us know what you thought. All good. I shouldn't have been. I got to go talk to AT&T again. They've been treating me decent as of late, but
oh wow.
Anyways, all right. So while you guys are giving us your thoughts, I'm going to read through it one more time. Super Rad Comics writes, while Spider-Man number 24 wasn't the very first comic I ever owned, it was my first superhero book. At the age of 6, I was totally hooked, and I still have my well-read copy safe in a short box. Now I buy this book every single time I see it because it's cheap. First full appearance of a rad character that should absolutely have a role in the next Spider-Verse movie. We're going to talk about the controversy of the appearance here in a minute. They're going to need more villains, and it would be a missed opportunity to not use Doppelganger. Most sites list Infinity War #1 as his first appearance, as it released a month prior, but in that book, we only see him in 2 panels. For my money, this is the more attractive pickup. Raws usually run about $5, and I pull the trigger when I see a graded 9.8 around $100. What do y'all think? Well, okay, let's look at the appearance controversy. Big shout out to Key Collector, but this is one where it's like sometimes it's not just Key Collector. You know, there's inconsistencies out there with appearances, right? CGC is very inconsistent as well with some of their labeling, but Key Collector simply calls Infinity War #1 the first appearance and calls this the second appearance and first cover. So I would love to know their reasoning behind not giving Infinity War #1 a cameo label, first appearance and cameo, and then not giving this first appearance in full, first full appearance, second overall appearance. So this is something that this is a controversy that I don't think has been talked about a lot, because quite honestly, Doppelganger, it isn't. I mean, Doppelganger is not a character that a lot of even Spidey fans talk about a lot. And I think when you look at the value of this book, it kind of speaks to that. And we're going to break down some numbers. I do want to say here what Super Rad said about Into the Spider or Across the Spider-Verse. I think that's just him making that statement. There's obviously no speculation or rumor that this character is going to show up at all or anything. I think, that they would have to introduce Green Goblin and especially Hobgoblin before introducing Doppelganger, even if it's a multi-dimensional, situation where those characters, those Spider-Men are, coming across some of the different villains. I still think it would be the other goblins, because if you read the story, you know how a doppelganger is birthed. But I don't know, maybe Peter Parker and Miles and all these Spider-Men could just show up in a multiversal dimension and you have all the goblins there, right? And then he's there. That could happen as well. You never know. But let's look at these numbers. Average high grade near mint raw, $6. 5 months CGC 9.85 fair market value. There's only a couple for sale, $89. Now, if you look at the rolling fair market value average for 9.8s between April of 2021 and April of 2022, the rolling average fair market value is $137. With the high sale of $198 back on April 11th of 2021, that was like right around, April to June was like that peak of that COVID market, right? So, speaking of this book in a 9.8, I'm giving this book a flop, Super Rad. I'm sorry. I got to give this book a flops, and here's why. If you told me that you were picking these books up raw in like a high near mint, maybe 9.8 potential and $5, I could have gave you props, because I do think that this is a character that, while this character, I just don't see this character ever being anything really big. For those that grew up in the reading this in the 90s, I drew this comic cover so many times, but there could be more value put into this character, especially if we see this character in Across the Spider-Verse or something like that. I don't think it's ever going to get crazy though. So sure, $5 for a near mint raw. You want to buy a few copies, just like I buy multiple copies of Warlock and the Infinity Watch #1, right? I would never spend $100 on this book in a 9.8. Never. Even though this book was selling at a fair market value average of $137 from April 21 to April 22, and then having a high of $198 in April of last year, I still would never spend $100 on this book in a 9.8. One thing that we saw with the COVID market was not only the hyper vigilant FOMO, we also saw the extreme hype around the 9.8 market, where literally, I mean, Jeff, we saw the lamest books hit when we were doing the actual cover price top 10 list. We saw the lamest books that are like literally dollar bin books still selling 9.8s for like $250, $300.
Yeah.
And now good luck probably getting $80 for it. And you already see over the last, 5 months for this book can't break $100 in a 9.8. So I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. Jeff, I know you are too. Like I said, raw cheap books of this copy all day, every day, fine. I would buy 10 of these books in near mint 9.8 potential for $5 each. That's $50. And go send a few out to CGC, press it clean, go send a few out to CGC, get graded. And I probably have more ability to make my money back doing that than I would putting all my eggs in a 9.8 basket. And that's just me. But yeah, unfortunately, 9.8 graded in this book flops.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Props if you're getting them for $5 or in the dollar bins. Flops if you're paying like what you paid for. What did he say he paid for? Where is it? It was under $100, or around $100. Yeah, I can't agree with that. I have to say it's a flops. I don't think in terms of investment, I don't think you're going to see much of a ROI, return on that investment. All right, Chris, we have one more.
One more thing to that though, because look, this is the market. This is the market. If for some reason Doppelganger we get an announcement that they're going to be in one of the animated films or in the MCU somewhere, then that actually is a good potential to sell this 9.8. Like if you don't love it for your personal collection and you're in it to make money off of it, and you paid $100 for this book, take advantage, because like we said, people are the FOMO. They feed into anything, any type of announcement, any type of casting. Yeah. So go sell that book, because you could probably double your money, but only for a small period of time to where it's selling for under $80 again.
Yep. 100%. All right. The last one here, Chris.
All right. This is going to be a fun one to talk about. More Spidey related stuff.
By the way, the audience has done a great job on letting us know their opinions too.
Awesome. This is a Mary Jane and Black Cat Beyond #1. It's a J. Scott Campbell variant. This is from Splash Panel Comics. Nice handle. Let's read what Splash Panel says here. Hey, Journals Comics. We picked up this alternate cover of Mary Jane Black Cat Beyond, signed by J. Scott Campbell. Signed from the J. Scott Campbell store online. Paid $70 after fees. More of a long-term hold, but wanted to highlight how often we see exclusive covers from artists go up on eBay and sell when you could get them direct from the artist for considerably less. Google is free. They're saying use Google, folks. FOMO is not. Okay. All right, let's break this down. So let's break down what Splash Panel is saying about these exclusives that they offer on like J. Scott Campbell has his website, his store where he does his exclusive variants. You have Unknown Comics, right? Scorpion Comics, all these they do their own exclusives. You could buy them for $19.99. You could buy like the Virgin pack. You get the trade dress in the Virgin for like $49.99, etc. And then you will see them up on eBay because they set an announcement date this Saturday at 9 a.m. They go live, right? And then they'll usually sell out from the store sometimes, and then people will be putting them up on eBay, buying them. Sometimes you could buy them, or there are sales like double or triple the price. But then usually a couple of weeks later, nobody wants to buy them. This book right now, I found no real sales data on this book. There was one raw sale, and I don't know if it was signed or not, but it was for like $62, and that was it. No graded sales, nothing. There are, I believe, 5 or 6 graded CGC copies on eBay right now for as low as like right over $100, I believe. Nobody's buying them. Here's the thing. I recently talked about how I think J. Scott Campbell is extremely overrated. I think he's a great artist, but I definitely think he's overrated because every single thing he does looks exactly the same. His women are drawn exactly the same with their little tiny little red Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer nose. I can't stand. Like, Jay, change the freaking nose, dude. Just change the nose. That's all you got to do. Make it a little bigger once in a while. Make it a little different shape. I mean, come on. Not every woman looks the same in life. I know that's your fetish, but change it up. But here's the thing. I'm going to give J. Scott Campbell a little love here. I actually feel like he changed it up a little with this book. Changed it up a little. We got tattoos on MJ and Black Cat, and like you got this side angle going on where you don't get the maybe MJ. And I always said this, J. Scott Campbell does a much better Black Cat. I actually like his Black Cat. I've always hated his MJ, but it feels a little different. And I love the vibe that he put in here with the banner. It's very kind of I don't know, not I don't want to say like punk rock, but it's got this grunge feeling to it with the tattoos and everything. I like that. I really like that. This is a well done cover. Oh man, I'm so torn. It's signed by him. Signed by him. I'm so torn here. But here's another thing that I got about his signature. All right. Majority of Rob books of his, his cover signed by him sell for under $50. And this is all online. You guys can go check eBay sold. I saw some sell for like in the low 30s up to 50. Most of them, $30 to $50 was the range. A large number of signature series of yellow label CGC signature series graded sell for under 100. I mean, there's obviously other ones that sell above 100. They might be like limited ratio variants, something like that. But there are a ton of them that sell for under 100. What does that tell me? That tells me that J. Scott Campbell's signature isn't really worth that much. If you got a book selling for 30 to 50, you can't value his signature really for much over $50 in the grand scheme of things. So, man, you got a raw book here, $70 from the store. I am really torn because I like this book. But let's look at what Splash Panel says here. More of a long-term hold. Splash Panel didn't come here and say, I love J. Scott Campbell's art, and I've been wanting a signed book of his in my collection because I collect J. Scott Campbell. This was on his store. It's, limited copies available. I went and got it before it went up on eBay or et cetera, and I'm happy to pay $70 for it. I went and bought a couple of variants. I don't buy variants. I bought a couple of ASM 300 homage variants, homages. And I paid like what, $25, $30 for it just because I like them. I have no plans in selling them. I like them. Now, obviously, if Splash Panel submitted this book only saying that, they had the wrong reason. They had the right idea of submitting this because of a long-term hold. Because what are we here to do? Break down investment value, long-term market, et cetera, short-term, long-term. But I had to point that out because Splash Panel, looking at this as a long-term hold. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I got to go flops. I got to go flops. And Jeff, I'm going to say this is how I'm going to close on this. J. Scott Campbell is a great artist. He's one. He's a name. He's one of the names of this generation of the last 20 years. I don't see, though, his value in terms of his signature being worth anything. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm just being real. Until after he passes away. I just don't see it. And even then, he's not Stan Lee. And if you look at the value of Stan Lee's signature since he's passed away, overall, it hasn't increased that much yet. And it's been 4 years. So if I was to get, for investment purposes, a J. Scott Campbell signature, I would go for a book that's already a key. And I don't know, I can't tell you off the top of my head, like what. I know. It's those, it's a couple that he did. They weren't variants. They were cover A's. It was issue, you got Spider-Man and Mary, Spider-Man kissing Black Cat and Mary Jane's in the background, like, oh my God, like walking in on them. And the issue before was that classic one, I think, of MJ sitting on the couch. Those are sought after key comics that already have value. Go get on a J. Scott Campbell signing with CGC, get a 9.8 potential of that book, send it in and have that book and wait 40 years, 50 years until maybe he, passes away. And then maybe the signature on that specific book can really do something a lot more for a long-term hold. But just because it's a J. Scott Campbell cover and it's signed, I'm sorry, I can't put investment value into it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to give it a flops too. And who was it? I think it was Sean Miller may have said that, there's nothing significant that happens in this issue either. It's not a key. So,
yep, exactly.
He's a great
and
artist.
Norrin Rad. You see what Norrin Rad said right there? That's a good point. He signed so many books
this one right
too.
Here?
Yep.
Yeah. I listen. I think he's a great artist. I think he has his devout his fans that buy everything and take it all in. But I think, again, I didn't think I'd say it, but maybe he's a bit niche as well. And I don't see long-term value going in terms of him continuing to sign, which is fine. That's how he makes a living. But if you're looking for an investment, just know that it's not going to be a rare signature, and those books aren't that sought after as well. So that's just my 2 cents too. Yeah. So that there ends props or flops. One more time though, Chris, let everybody know how they can enter this segment.
All right, folks. Again, we're looking at investment reasons. Upload your book to Instagram, whether it's a book you just purchased or a book you're in the market for. Speculative, short-term, long-term investment, whatever the case may be. Use the hashtag props or flops. Make sure you tag journos_comics because hashtags suck. Make sure you tag comic book canon as well. Tell us why the book interests you. Give us what you pay for it or what you're looking to pay for it or what somebody's selling it for. All of your reasons why you are interested in the book, and we will break down the market live on our weekly show here on Comic Book Canon.
I want to point out, I know it was a typo, but it's actually pretty funny. Planet Arizona says I'm going to have to put in a prop or flip for next week. This is fun. Yeah, no, he meant flop. Obviously, I is right next to the O, but that's an interesting typo right there. All right, we have our next segment, the one you all been waiting for. You love it, you know it. What is it, Chris?
Fresh from the comic shop.
Fly from the pressing salon. That's right. We ask you, the viewer, to upload or send in your fresh gets from the week. They could be 2 days old. They could be 30 days old. As long as they're fresh in your collection, we want to see them. Post them up to Instagram, hashtag FFTCS. Tag us at Comic Book Canon. Tag us, Journos Comics, so we actually see them, because these tags are, I don't know what the heck's going on, but we're missing some here. They're getting a little ridiculous. And we will show your book off to the audience, but you can also win prizes. That's right, because this segment is sponsored by EGS Comics. They are honestly the best that's out there right now, because they're doing it differently than the other graders right there. So Chris, tell us a little bit more about EGS.
All right, guys, EGS. If you're not aware of it, too, I do have. I'm gonna. If you guys don't mind, Jeff.
Yeah.
Bring me up real quick. We'll go back to that. Remember, guys, we got the new cases. Cases. They are super clean. I'm telling you. I am telling you. I have my review up on my YouTube, but let's bring that image back up. EGS Comics. Hey, we already did that segment. There we go. If you guys want to try EGS out, if you have not used them yet, or if you are already using them and you want to put some more books in to get graded from EGS, you can save 5% using our discount code Canon5. Obviously, the optional custom labels, free graders notes for every book, and fast turnaround times. Check out EGSComicsGrading.com.
That's right. I will be sending some. I have 2 books to send in, and I just have had no time, and Tony probably hates me, but I'm excited to do so. All right. So we're just going to, again, we're going to have semifinals going head to head this week. The first semifinals, because we messed up with Nerds Being Geeks, but we got Bobzilla going up against Nerds Being Geeks. So look for this on our Instagram stories where you all can vote. You do a great job in participating there. First off, we got, who do we have? We have Jacob Comic. This week marks not only the 30th anniversary of the death of Superman, but it also marks my entrance into this hobby, because without that crowd of people waiting to buy the death of Superman, I would never have gone into the comic shop that day. That's the day I bought Spider-Man 2099, $1, and got hooked into this amazing hobby. Such a fond memory of that day, and my grandma, who bought me a book that day and gave me a subscription to 2099 titles at Christmas. Thanks, Grandma Cooley. That is a great story right there. I like how he kind of pivoted on us and said that he actually bought 2099, but it was a significant time right there. Huge media coverage. I I mean, at that time, I don't know if there's ever been as much media coverage for a comic book ever. I mean, there was the marriage of Spider-Man. Maybe they had a little bit of PR for, but I don't know. It was really a momentous occasion. Obviously he wasn't dead, but people bought those issues thinking that they put their kids through college. That was not the case. Next up, we have Norrin Rad. Just showing us his book with the statue. There's no description or anything there. So good stuff. Thank you for sending us that, Norm. Please put a description in because we want to know. And that's a perfect time right now to remind people what we're looking for in these entries. To become a semifinalist, we want a presentation. Send us a great picture, well composed, something that ties in to the comic book itself. Get creative with it. Think outside the box. Have fun. 2, how unique is that book? It doesn't have to be $30,000 to be unique, but it could be a book that none of us have heard of before, and we're like, wow, that's really cool. And 3, pull at our heartstrings. Tell us the story, what it means to you. Jacob Comic told us a great story of what Death of Superman means to him. Not specifically, even though he bought Spider-Man 2099, but you get it. Death of Superman pulled him into the store. So that's a really, really good story right there. Chris, what's your first fresh get of the week?
All right, let's see. I'll do this one. I got this off of an Whatnot auction with more Whatnot credits. Thank you to everyone signing up using my code. Appreciate you guys. This is little context. I finished my Thor run. It's been almost a year. It's been 11 months since I finished my Volume 1 Thor run. I can't believe it. But I am still slowly trying to work on finishing my Thor run. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, you know I'm talking about Journey into Mystery. Because Thor Volume 1 may be complete, but it takes over Journey into Mystery. I'll never have a Journey into Mystery entire run. Well, you know.
Never say never.
Yeah, never say never.
Never say never.
This is issue 117. So just
nice,
awesome.
Man. Look at that beautiful Silver Age goodness right there. Dan De La Torre is giving you a virtual hug right now, I bet. I hope.
Yay.
I hope. He did offer to judge this round. I'm not sure. I think Chris and I may be able to handle it. But if we need a tiebreaker, Dan, be on the ready right there. All right, next up, we got good friend Joe, aka 360 Comics. Ooh. Remember those Wolverine books that spilled in my last post? While checking for damage, I stumbled across a sweet double cover. It's not super high grade, but still awesome nonetheless. I collect double covers and other errors and misprints, so this bad boy is staying with me. That's very rare, Chris. Very rare indeed. I like seeing that because Joe is one of the better ones in the community. He's a great one.
I have like 25,000 comic books. And I've never come across a double cover. You never know, right? Because there are books that maybe you haven't opened up or really looked in. I'm going to get accused of not reading my comics. But still, though, they are so rare. I hope to one day come across one.
Yeah, no, Joe picks up some amazing books, too. By the way, follow Joe, 360 Comics, down below. The link is down below. You better be following him. Next up, we have Fat Dad Comics, one of my favorite new names. He's not new, but I do like his name. There is a thrift shop, Gotham Thrift, New York. I'll pop into and check out their comics. Typically, I walk out empty-handed. However, bundled together at $1 each, I found this miniseries of 0 Hour Crisis in Time, issues 4 to 0 in descending order. I'm not big on DC Comics, and yet this series caught my attention due to its apocalyptic implications and the fact it was released as a countdown from issue 4 to 0. These types of cataclysmic stories in comics is what drew me to the hobby in my youth, and the nostalgia bug bit me when I found these once lost copies from my youth. In fact, if I could believe in such serendipitous occurrences, perhaps there are the very 4 issues I sold off with my childhood collection 20 years ago, with negative thoughts of just selling off my collection and doing away with the hobby altogether. A sign from the comic gods reminding me of my love affair with comics. See, that's a good story. That's the stuff we want to hear. And also, he's getting props. Well, not props or flops, but like Cable Leland, aka Caleb, is a great grab, Fat Dad. All right. My first fresh get of the week. Been a while since I stopped into my comic shop. and I haven't started reading the series yet. But I got Star Wars High Republic issue number 2. What's that?
I knew it was Star Wars.
Yeah, I haven't, dude. I'm so behind on the Star Wars, but I'm excited to read this. I think the second print comes out this week. I could be wrong.
I am so behind. I'm still on issue like 8 of the Volume 1 High Republic.
I'm a little bit further than you, I'd have to say. I'm a little bit further, but it's not a contest, Chris. Chill out. Jeez. Next up, we got Mike Hag 77. What do you got, Mike? What do you got? What do you got? What do you got? There you are. Oh man, it was a slow week, by the way, Chris. Like, we don't have many entries here. Mike Hags. What do you got? Throwing up this Gambit set. I love this character ever since the cartoon on Saturdays. One of my favorite X-Men. My main man, Remy. I went with a mix of variant covers. Just got issue 5, and I threw in 266 for window dressing. The classic 266. Chris, what is your second fresh get of the week? What do you got?
All right. I'm not really cheating, guys. I promise. I got 2 books though, but they're a pair. Guys, we are 1 week away from Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special.
Yes.
I'm really with that we know now is going to feature the greatest MCU star of all time, Kevin Bacon. And we're getting so close to Volume 3 and to seeing Warlock. So I have here, this is Marvel's Greatest Comics 49 and 50, which reprints Fantastic Four 66 and 62nd, which is the cameo of the Cocoon and first appearance of the Cocoon. So I think these are awesome books, guys. If you are still looking to collect, Warlock stuff, if you're a fan, Marvel's Greatest Comics are awesome to find these for dirt cheap. They use the original cover art. So yeah,
dirt cheap now, but those reprints have been doing well. Like,
I've been saying it,
Lee's and things like that. So that's not a bad pickup, Chris. It really, really isn't. All right, moving on. We got DMAC Art. Oh, just going to a bookstore one day to check out comics and see this book, pull it out to take a better look at it, and boom, find out I found a gem that's signed by the Todd Father himself. I couldn't be more. What's that?
What?
Yeah, it's down bottom rightish. It's like on Captain America's leg in the silver.
Yep.
Yep.
I see it.
Yep. He says, I couldn't be more stoked to have found a comic like this just sitting in a box. That's really, really cool. And how great is this cover? Like, honestly, man, this run was just outstanding. I was so excited. It was in the summer. I can't remember, maybe 89 or something like that. Every other week this coming out, and I was so pumped for it, man. So excited for it. So that's a great find. My second fresh get of the week, people, is Moon Knight number 17. Again, super far behind, but I love the cover, right? Look at him. Look at him fighting this like beast right here.
I've been hearing a lot of freaking good things about that run.
It's good. I mean, from what I've read, it's really, really, really good. All right. Moving on, Chris. We got our last submission. It's been a slow week. I don't know what's up with that, but it's okay. Increases everybody's chances here. We got, by the way, sorry, Sean Miller. He said he just submitted, so we'll have to get that for next week. Yes, we'll have to get that for next week. Again, it closes at 5 p.m. on Sundays. Why is Moon Knight 17 hard to find? I didn't know it was hard to find. I don't know. Anybody else want to explain that? Maybe? I don't know. All right, here we go. Oh, yes, and Shadow Right, you called it. Chris and I are watching Deadpool, where he's having his hand grow back right there. Good call. Good call. All right, Chris, our final submission here is from Comic Demon. Had a little break before my next client, so I flew downtown to grab my new comics, and this guy was still on the shelf. Gargoyles Ashcan is a 1 per store, so it's pretty sweet. I got to grab this beaut. I love that cover, and I loved that cartoon back in the day. All right, Chris, your third fresh get of the week. What do you got?
All right. Out of a collection, because that's all I do these days almost. We got some more 12-cent goodness. This time, Detective Comics. I had to look at the number. 361. Silver Age Batman. I really like what's going on here. I don't know what's going on with Robin, but really cool cover. I love if a lot of the Silver Age Batman detective stuff had so many amazing like purples and blues and reds. I tell you guys though, I'm not a fan of the checkers. I wish this cover looked like this. I'm sorry. It just
bring it down. Bring it down.
It distracts.
Whose idea was that? Like, what is that?
Well, you know why they did it, right?
No.
It was a marketing technique, because when they thought if people were flipping through the comics and they would see the checkers on the top, it would indicate that those are some DC comics. I need to grab those.
Oh.
Yeah, but I'm good.
All right. No, that's sweet though. That's some again, Silver Age goodness right there. And then my third fresh get of the week, you know, I love it, but The Mandalorian number 5. Look at little Grogu. Little Grogu.
Oh, get your boo.
He's so cute. All right. Jesus, I sound like my dog.
I never get tired. It's just
yes, absolutely. All right. There we have it, Chris. We have a decision to make on who's going to be the semifinalists for this week. Yep. We haven't talked about this, so we may be off base here. We may need to call in Dan De La Torre.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do here. I have 2 that stick out for me.
I have 2 too.
Okay. Who should go first? Who should go first?
You tell me.
All right, I'm going to go first. My first one is Fat Dad Comics with the 0 Hour collection, reminding it of his youth. That's my first right there.
All right.
Okay, what do you got?
All right, my first was Jacob Comics.
Okay. That's nice. That's nice. It was a good story. It did pull at the heartstrings and explain to us why he is in this.
Yeah.
Okay. My second one is Comic Demon. The Gargoyles, man. Gargoyles are the shit. So I guess we're not agreeing here. What do you got?
Yeah, no, my second one is D-Mac. D-Mac. Like, how can you not know? You pulled a Spider-Man book.
That's true.
Which is already an awesome book, and then you go later to find out. I mean, we talked about autographs and props or flops tonight, but this is the modern autograph, in my opinion. Todd McFarlane, to pull that out and say, oh my gosh, I have a Todd McFarlane autograph. That did it for me right there.
Okay. So we have, I don't know, Dan, are you on? Can you make a call? I don't think we're going to bring you on live because we're going to wrap the show up soon. But if you're
hold on. Let's ask you this. Out of your 2, is the Gargoyle your number 1 pick out of your 2? Do you like it better than? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So my number 1 is D-Mac. So it would be between Gargoyle or D-Mac's Todd McFarlane's Spidey.
All right. Dan De La Torre is here. Dan, between Comic Demon's Gargoyle and D-Mac's Spider-Man signed by Todd McFarlane.
Should we read the captions to Dan one more time?
All right. So Comic Demon, here we go. I had a little break before my next client, so I flew downtown to grab my new comics. And this guy was still on the shelf. Gargoyle's Ashcan is a 1 per store, so it's pretty sweet. I got to grab this Butte. And then we got, where is D-Mac? Where are you, buddy? Why am I? Oh, it's right before it. Okay, then we got D-Mac. It's only between these 2, Dan. Just go to a bookstore one day to check out comics and see this book. Pull it out to take a better look, and boom, find out I found a gem that's signed by the Top Father himself. Couldn't be more stoked to have found a comic like this just sitting in a box. So Dan, between those 2, D-Mac art and Comic Demon, what do you got, Dan? Which one is it? Which one? While he is deciding, I want to say that Spider Dude is in the Dan De La Torre. I want to say Spider Dude is in the house, but we have an answer. Chris, we have an answer. Boom. D-Mac, final answer. D-Mac, congratulations. You are moving on to the semifinals. You'll go up against next week's semifinalist. So we'll figure that one out. We do have semifinals voting for the first 2 weeks tomorrow, probably. So be on the lookout on our Instagram story. Thank you, Dan De La Torre. As always, we appreciate you. Consensual sent slots. We did not see it. I can't explain why. But please make sure to, check it out if you tagged it and tagged us as well. All right. So, Chris, another great show. I want to remind everybody that we will be live on Mondays starting the first show of January 2023. So we will be Mondays.
Yeah. Let me
wait a minute.
Just,
Tony,
here, we got
oh my God, we didn't run the amazing book for November.
Oh, right. Before we get into that,
the November sled. Tony, thank you.
Real quick, consensual. I got it here. Tell you what, we're gonna run it next week. So Jeff, he tagged us and hashtag. So I got it here. I'll screenshot it, send it over to you.
Send it over so we have it.
Yeah, we'll make sure we put it on next week's show for sure.
My God, this is embarrassing. By the way, look at this beauty that we have. The Silver Surfer Rebirth #1 at a 9.8. Oh, yeah. The gorgeous cover matching the gorgeous slab. It's just, honestly, nobody does it like this, guys. Nobody does it like EGS. Tony, apologies. I'm going to show it again. God, we are disheveled tonight. Or maybe it's just me. So again, guys, bring out your best. You guys got one more week. Because the next semifinalist will be going up against D-Mac and that signed Tom McFarlane book. All right, Chris, another great show. Again, always have fun doing this. We always appreciate you all. Mental health is some serious shit. I think I've expressed to you that I've gone through some serious shit recently, and this show really helps me just kind of get away from that a little bit. So I appreciate that. We don't know what happened to we don't have all the details on JDF, but it is unfortunate of his passing. I don't want to end on a somber note. So Chris, I'll leave it to you. What do you got?
Well, it's Sunday. We got a few more days until Thanksgiving. So I want to say what I'm thankful for, even though maybe so cheesy and cliche, but hey, it's important. So first and foremost, Jeff, thank you for being here every week and doing this with me. 2.5 years now. And it's just absolutely crazy to think about that, and to think that, you found me, and for those that don't know, Jeff found my channel when I had 1,500 subscribers. Like I wasn't, I was a nobody on YouTube, just fiddling around. And Jeff says, this guy's all right. And Jeff, I appreciate that. Appreciate you putting up with me for 2.5 years. So, and then of course, all of you guys here. Yeah, every week. I know, we're going to be shifting things around. We're going to be moving to Monday. Part of that is personal, but part of it is to try to, continue to find the right slot for us to build our following. We want that. Obviously, the more people that participate, the more fun that we have, the more fun that you guys have, and the more we can grow the channel. But that isn't to take away everyone that's here every day. Like there could be 5 of you here. And, it means something to us. So I'm grateful for all of you guys and the continued support. I see, some nights we have 20 people watching, some nights we have 40 people watching, but I always see at least the same handful of people that are here every single week. And you guys are freaking amazing. So I'm thankful for, being able to have a roof over my head and a room with comic books and a computer to do the show with. Thankful for my kids and my family and everything. So look, I always say this, I bring in the fact that not everyone sees things the same way, right? We know that there's controversy around Thanksgiving, right? We know that our United States of America although we're thankful for all of our freedoms, we know that it has a history that has a lot of ugliness, right? I mean, there's a lot of ugliness throughout the history of the world. So for those that look at Thanksgiving and think, well, you know what, man? I mean, there's so much that was done that doesn't get brought up, and we came here, and there's Native peoples, and a lot of people call Thanksgiving Indigenous Peoples Day. And I think it's very, very important for you all to recognize that and understand that anybody that wants to see Thanksgiving is a day to actually, be conscious of a lot of those people that did suffer atrocities. We can acknowledge that, but at the same time, it's about giving thanks as well. Because I'll tell you guys, regardless of the history and how you want to look at that, it is a time, it is culturally embedded in us, a time where we could stop doing what we're doing and slow everything down and really look at what's around us, because it's all temporary. And you may not like what parts of this holiday represents, but even for you, take this time to look at your kids, look at your wife, your husband, your parents, your family, your friends, and all that you have, and give thanks, because this moment is all that we have, and we often neglect the things and the people that matter the most.
Yeah, that's well said. I mean, we should all try and be thankful as much as we can, but especially on a day like Thanksgiving, where we do sit around with family and friends and spend time together, because time is our most precious commodity. Speaking of time, our time is up. And we just have to say, have a great, safe holiday weekend, and be good to yourself and be good to others. We'll see you next week, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. Peace.